So Governor Scott Walker, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Here we are in Wisconsin. What is your reaction to the shutdown of the state over coronavirus?
Well, I get the fear that people have, but there's also a lot of frustration. People don't know what to believe, what the facts are. It keeps changing all the time. Certainly every day I think about it, I'm very concerned about the coronavirus and defeating the virus itself, but I'm equally as concerned about the economy in the long term, not just the short term effects of people sitting at home, but what does it mean long term, particularly to our small businesses. And the third thing I worry about here and across the country is the encroachment on our civil liberties. You see many local and state officials going far beyond just traditional safety warnings or actions to really clamping down on religious liberties and other liberties that I think have a lasting impact.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So Governor Evers has extended the lockdown order until May 26th.
Right.
Do you think it's time to reopen the state?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where, and this is one where I think it's not just the matter of the government doing it. I've been encouraging businesses, chambers, statewide chambers and others, not just to have a plan, but right down to individual businesses, talk about maybe it's a pledge or some other activity to say, what is that business going to do to show that they can safely reopen? Not as a requirement of government, but I think to get employees back, now that so many people have been scared by the shutdown, just to get workers back is going to be a challenge. Add to that a retail location, customers. So I think this is one of those where the private sector, in many cases, knows better than the government. People get it that if your employees don't feel safe, if your customers don't feel safe, it doesn't matter what date you say you're going to reopen, it's not going to happen. And so I just say let's stop suspending common sense. Let's look at the so-called essential businesses. How are people able to go to grocery stores? There's a Walgreens just up the corner from here. People go in there every single day. How do they do that and still survive? Well, they follow common sense practices. Most people, when I'm out and about, other than this interview right now, I wear a mask, I stay a safe distance from people, I do those things. Businesses are doing them all over the country right now. Why can't other businesses that aren't technically essential start to do some of the same things?
So there's a big protest that's taking place at the state capitol on Friday. There's been others, Brookfield and others around the state. What's your reaction to those protests?
Well, I certainly feel the frustration. I get it, and I think most people do. I think a lot of people, though, have mixed feelings, that they're frustrated on one hand that the economy's not going, they want to get back to work, they're anxious about that, but they're also fearful because they really don't know who to trust. The media nationally has been so decimated that people don't really know if they're getting the full story. And so I say, yeah, it's right to push back on the government. The caution I give, I wrote about this today in the Washington Times, is that I saw the opposite the other day in Brookfield. I hope people today and at other rallies across the country come wear a mask, stay a safe distance. The worry I have is that if people show up in mass and there's a complete disregard for some of these safety procedures, all that does is send a message to people who want to keep us locked in longer to keep doing it. Show we can be safe, not only at a gathering like this, but have businesses come out and say, here's our plan. We're ready to open. We're eager to open. I've got a neighbor of mine who's a manufacturer. He has a contract because he's essential that he's been fulfilling. He and I, more than a month and a half ago, started talking about how to make it safe for his employees. He no longer has the lunchroom open. He has people taking their breaks at their equipment. They sanitize their equipment. They do all sorts of things to be safe. Well, why is the manufacturing place across the street from him that's technically not essential not able to open? These, to me, are the things we need to focus on. Show not just the government, but more importantly, show the public and your customers and employees that we can do this safely.
Do you think Governor Evers is keeping the economy closed for political reasons?
I don't know what the reasons are. It's frustrating to me. You know, there's this supposed compact amongst the Midwest governors, and yet Indiana's order expires on May 1st. Indiana has already started to allow hospitals and medical clinics and doctors' offices to start taking patients in who aren't COVID-19. To me, it seems rather inconsistent. I don't know if it's political as much as he just doesn't know what to do. And I said when he issued the extension order, or when his administration did a week and a half ago, I questioned at that point why you would extend something a month and a half out from where he was at without looking at what the data is for the next couple of weeks. We had previously seen a high point of April 1st. We just saw in the last 2 days, because of a meatpacking plant, there was an anomaly in Green Bay. But beyond that, we've actually seen positive trends across the state. My sense is we should be looking at those numbers, and again, applying safe standards to other businesses to say, we can't do this indefinitely. If people are waiting for a perfect cure, it may not come anytime soon. And so then the question is, how do we logically stagger our way back into reopening? And I fortunately feel like a lot of governors are hiding their heads under the bed, hoping it'll just all go away, and it won't.
Right. So if you were governor, how would you be handling it?
Well, I think the key is you've got to make it all about safety. Again, the data they keep referencing is data that seems to keep changing. You know, the president laid out the 14 days, but they keep adding components. It's got to be 14 consistent days and a drop. There's got to be this other factors. It seems like they're moving, they're moving the finish line to try and adjust to whatever their latest worries might be. I think the better approach is explain why we're doing things, which is, I think, has been a gap all across the country. People just do it. They don't explain why. I think most of us say, if you told us, hey, we've got this escalation a month and a half ago, we need everybody to do these things. Most people wouldn't have taken an order of the governor to do that. Most people would have said, okay, I don't want to shut the government or the economy down. I want to be in a spot where we can keep things moving forward. So I look at the future now and say, explain why things are happening, explain how we can ease back into the economy, ask people to play their part, say have businesses follow the same practices that the Walgreens or the grocery store or others are doing. There's no reason why other parts of the economy can't open sooner rather than later.